My name is Daniel. I'm a delivery driver and have been working this job for 5 years. It's nothing special, but it pays the bills and keeps my little dog fed. That night, I had one last address on my delivery list, and honestly, I almost didn't want to do it. Blackwood Road. The name felt unfamiliar. Strangely, it wasn't even on my GPS. I drove through increasingly empty and dark roads. A thick fog hung in the air, making my headlights struggle to cut through the night. A creeping sense of unease settled in my chest as I finally saw the house in the distance. A large old building stood alone in the middle of the forest. A single dim light flickered from an upstairs window. I turned off the engine, took a deep breath, and grabbed the package from the passenger seat. My footsteps felt heavy as I walked toward the large wooden door, which looked worn and cracked. An unnatural coldness surrounded the place. I knocked 3 times. Silence. I knocked again. Still no answer. Just as I turned to go back to my car, the door creaked open slowly. Something about this made my skin crawl. Hesitantly, I stepped inside, hoping to find someone to accept the package. Inside, the air was even colder than outside. The smell of old wood mixed with something stronger, something rotten. It made my stomach turn. The chandelier above flickered, casting shifting shadows in the corners of the room. "Hello?" I called out. My voice echoed in the empty space. No response. I placed the package on a large wooden table in the living room. Just as I was about to leave, my eyes caught sight of a crumpled note on the table. The words, smudged by dark red stains, made my heart pound. "You're not the first to come here, but you might be the last to leave." My breath hitched. At that moment, footsteps echoed from the floor above. Slowly, I tilted my head upward, holding my breath. Someone was up there. I tried to be rational. Maybe it was just the owner. Maybe I was overreacting. But before I could move, the sound became clearer. The footsteps. There were multiple, as if several people were walking in circles upstairs. Something tumbled down the stairs. My eyes darted toward it. $1. Old and torn, with missing eyes. Its fabric was stained with something that looked like dried blood. The door behind me suddenly slammed shut. I jumped, my heart racing. I ran to the door trying to open it, but it was locked. Upstairs, the footsteps grew faster. I could hear faint whispers mixed with soft giggles. A child's laugh, or something imitating one. I turned to the window, thinking of breaking it and jumping out. But then, something in the room caught my eye. Across from me stood a large mirror. And in that mirror, I saw something that froze my blood. I was still standing there, but behind me, a tall, shadowy figure with long, clawed fingers. I could feel its breath on the back of my neck. I couldn't move. A raspy voice whispered into my ear, something not from this world.
"It's too late."
I don't remember how I got out of that house. All I recall is running to my car, fumbling with the keys, and flooring the gas pedal. As I glanced in the rearview mirror, the house was gone. Only the dark forest remained, as if the house had never existed, but something still felt wrong. A cold presence lingered, and when I checked the mirror again, I saw something that made me nearly lose control of the car. The shadowy figure. It was still there. This time, it was sitting in my back seat. My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel. My breath was short and shaky, as if my lungs could no longer hold enough air. Cold sweat trickled down my temple, despite the chilly night. I didn't dare look behind me. I knew something was there. Slowly, through the rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of the dark figure, sitting still, as if watching me with invisible eyes. I tightened my grip on the wheel, trying to focus on the road ahead, but the endless, dark road seemed to close in on me. I pressed the gas pedal harder, desperate to get away from that cursed house as quickly as possible. But then something even stranger happened. The farther I drove, the more the road twisted back to the same place. My headlights illuminated the misty, rocky path, and in the distance, that house was still there. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching loudly. My chest rose and fell rapidly, panic creeping through my entire body. This is impossible. I already left this place, I muttered to myself. A faint scraping sound came from the back seat. My fingers gripped the wheel even tighter. Slowly, I could feel something shifting behind me. My breath hitched. Then the sound became clearer, the sound of nails dragging against the car seat. I couldn't stay still. With my breath caught in my throat, I forced myself to turn around slowly. Empty. The back seat was empty. No dark figure, no one there. But the terrifying feeling lingered. I could still feel its presence watching me. I turned my gaze back to the road, and that's when I saw it. Someone was standing in the middle of the road. I swerved to the right, trying to avoid the figure. My car veered off the rocky path and crashed into a large tree. A sharp pain exploded in my head as my forehead struck the steering wheel. The world spun, my vision blurred. I slowly opened my eyes. My car was now still in the middle of the forest, its hood dented against the tree. The headlights remained on, illuminating the darkness ahead. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my breath. Then, as I lifted my head, my heart nearly stopped. The dark figure stood right in front of my car, motionless, silent. Its presence weighed on my chest, as if the air around me had been sucked away. It took a step closer. Its towering form became clearer under the car's lights. Its long arms hung at its sides, fingers resembling claws moving slightly as if savoring my fear. I struggled to unbuckle my seatbelt, but my fingers were shaking too much. I reached for the door handle, trying to escape, but the door wouldn't budge. The figure moved closer. I could see it more clearly now. Its face was obscured as if shrouded in shifting black mist, and from within that mist, two large hollow eyes stared at me, piercing straight into my soul.
Get out!
The whisper echoed in my head. It didn't come from outside, not from the creature. It came from within me. Suddenly, something touched my shoulder from behind. I screamed. In a panic, I turned around, but again, no one was there. But now, the back window of my car was covered in black handprints, as if dozens of unseen beings were pressing their bodies against the glass, trying to get in. I shut my eyes, taking a deep breath. I had to think. I had to escape. But before I could do anything, a loud noise echoed from outside. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the car. I was standing in the living room of that house. The large wooden door behind me remained tightly shut. The worn-out paper with terrifying writing still lay on the table, its red stains darker than before. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body wouldn't move. I could only stand there, staring at my own reflection in the large mirror across the room. But this time, the mirror didn't reflect me. Inside the mirror, standing there, was a tall figure with long, claw-like fingers, and it was smiling at me.